next up is our Maker Highlight segment. Now this is a segment of the show where we get to highlight some of the cool projects the students have been working on either here at Zen or submitted to us. And today we're taking a look at two particular projects. One is Steven's water bottle holder, and the other is Bob Dylan the Alien. So let's go ahead and take a look at these two cool projects. So first up, we have Steven's water holder. Now this one was actually submitted to us, and yeah, this is a pretty cool design of dihydrogen monoxide. So for those of you who don't know, you're like, what is that? That is actually just water. So I don't think we're gonna take a look specifically at how this design was made. It's not overly complicated, but I thought that this was a really cool application of Tinkercad for some of your science class. So if you wanted to create a stencil for some drawings, for maybe a poster for science class, you could actually 3D print out your CAD stencil and then go ahead and trace it out. But I thought this was a very interesting project that Steven had worked on. And it is called the water holder, so what I'm assuming is this isn't just a stencil, but you can actually maybe put some cups into the holes there that are for the water molecule. So we see a couple of words here. There's dihydrogen monoxide. Dihydrogen stands for, di stands for two, and hydrogen is two hydrogen. And we can see at the bottom, those two circles at the very bottom are both hydrogen, okay? So those are two hydrogen atoms. And then we've got monoxide, and the mon means one, and oxide means oxygen. So we can see that there is an oxygen up at the top, and it's bonded to those two hydrogen. And this is actually the compound for water, okay? So this is actually the chemical for water. It's hydrogen, or dihydrogen monoxide. So again, very cool application of 3D printing and CAD modeling to do some science. So again, Steven, good job on your water holder. So next up, we have Bob Dylan the Alien, and we're going to take a closer look at this one. I really like this project because it's got a lot of pizzazz, okay? So we can see that Hi Earth, I'm Bob is like all extruded and cool. Let's take a look at that. And the character design is pretty simple, but it's also really cool. So just a reminder that, you know, even if, you know, you've got some crazy idea, you know, sometimes if you think about things in a way to make them fairly simple and clear, they can turn out, you know, fairly good. So yeah, this is an example of that, where we have Bob Dylan the Alien, not too many different complex parts, but still a really creative and cool character. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at Bob Dylan the Alien. So this is Bob here, and we can see that there are a couple parts that went into Bob's design. So first things first, we have some text here. Of course, how else are we going to know what Bob is saying? And this text has been sort of extruded out. And I like this. It's kind of like a little added cool feature in that, you know, it looks more, I don't know, it looks more like he's screaming. He's like, ah! You know, maybe we're in like a time warpy tunnel and everything's stretching. But I thought that was kind of cool. And we can see here that he's got some teeth. And these teeth here are actually made out of a couple of cones. So we can grab some cones here, and we can sort of flatten those down and shrink those down. And that's gonna make the teeth for our little box guy. The box here, this is kind of cool. So this was actually done by just taking two boxes and cutting them out of each other. So I thought that was kind of interesting as well. So if we make this one a hole type, we just kind of bring that down a little bit. And we group those like so. Boom, there we go. We've got kind of the mouth here. Obviously, Bob Dylan, the Alien, his is better than mine. But we can kind of get a sense for how this design was created. And again, it's pretty cool. Not too complicated, but still very, very cool. And lastly is the eye. And the eye was interestingly done by using some spheres. And I'll show you how we did that in just a minute. So we're just gonna flip these teeth around 180 degrees. Let's see if we can turn that. Oop, it keeps clicking me off there. So I'm gonna click on here, click here, 180, boom. There we go. And then we can lift this up and move this over. Okay. and we can kind of get a sense of how this design was made. So again, Bob Dylan, fantastic little alien, very cool, stretched out eye, bam. So again, very, very interesting design, very well done. So that is our maker highlights. I hope that you enjoyed. We're gonna move on now into our engineering tributes. So I hope you're ready. I hope you're excited. Let's go ahead and take a look at our engineering tribute for today. And today we have Alexandra Fedora. So we're gonna take a look for Fedrova, sorry. So we're gonna take a look at some of the things that she's done and why she is in our engineering tribute today. So a little bit about Alexandra's studies. So she actually studies computer systems, in particular, how to increase their performance, their usability, and energy efficiency. So there's a lot of her work has been done into the scheduling and management of resources in these processors, these CPUs. So we can see an example of the kind of hardware that Alexandra gets to work with on a regular basis. So this is a CPU. This is in all the computers that are running. It's in my computer now. It would be in your computer or your phone. And yeah, this is actually what Alexandra is studying, these pieces of technology, and particularly how to manage resources between the components inside of this chip. Okay, so we can see on the bottom there, all those little golden pads. Okay, those are all connected to little electronic components that are stuffed into this chip, this silicon chip. And we can interact with these components and we use them to do all kinds of things. It's the central processing unit, right? That's why it's called CPU, for managing all the tasks that your computer's gonna do. But your computer has to make decisions on which tasks to prioritize, when to use them, when to do things. There are different ways that you can bake a cake, right? And so there are some ways that take longer and some ways that take shorter, and there are trade-offs. And making those decisions of which steps do I take are managed by, say, a scheduler. So that's what a lot of her research is based around, is how to get the maximum amount of performance out of these CPUs and processors, which is pretty cool. And it's more complicated than you'd think. But yeah, CPUs are built by putting tons of millions of transistors onto a single chip. And those transistors allow it to make, do some really cool calculations and programs. But that's where her study is really focused on. So making these things able to perform tasks very well, but also be very efficient, right? So managing the amount of power. Does our computer chip need to always be awake, waiting for an instruction? Or are there times when we can kind of turn it off and let it rest, right? So that's kind of where her research is focused on. Pretty cool stuff. So lastly, a few things about her. She has won the Alfred Sloan Research Fellowship Award and the Anita Borg Early Career Award. So yeah, pretty cool. Her most cited paper was published from her time at SFU. And yeah, so very, very cool job getting to work with computers and processors and think about ways that we can improve them, make them faster, make them better, so that everybody at home can play Flappy Birds at a higher frame rate, right? So yeah, again, her research is based around improving the performance of all of our electronics. And so for that, thank you, Alexandra, for all the work that you've done in making, video games run faster, making computers and video go faster, improving the performance for all kinds of things, not just for entertainment, but of course for medical purposes and driverless cars, a whole variety of stuff. So thank you so much. Don't go anywhere, because up next we have an interview with a very special guest. We have an interview with Stefan Silner, CEO of A-Champs Official. So don't go anywhere, because that's coming up.